The LDS Church, or the Mormon Church, allegedly has over $100 billion in total net assets, but that hasn't actually been confirmed by the church. It's more so just speculation based on some data. But what we do know officially is that the church owns a hedge fund called Ensign Peak Advisors, and because of the 13F filings that the SEC requires, we can get an idea of what's inside the church's stock portfolio, which is currently valued at just under $47 billion. So as someone who grew up in Utah and fairly close to Salt Lake City, I'm very familiar with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is the official name for the LDS Church, or the Mormon Church. And obviously this church is very well off financially, and you might be wondering how. At this point, the church has multiple revenue streams, but one of the main sources of income is from its members. The church currently has a little over 17 million members and has been growing its membership for over 100 years now. And one of the main commandments or beliefs that the members follow is the law of tithing that's found in the Bible, where you donate 10% of your income to the church or to God. Now, not all 17 million members are going to be paying the full 10% of their income or even any tithing at all. But even if just 4 million members donated an average of $2,000 a year, that's still over $8 billion in tithing revenue each year. And that's just a rough estimate. It's probably a lot more than that, but what's crazy about this is despite the magnitude of the annual tithing revenue, whether it be 8 billion or 20 billion, it's completely tax-free since it's a religious organization. The church then uses these funds for many different things like its education system, the missionary program, and the construction of church buildings and temples for the members to use. I couldn't find exactly how much each temple costs to build, but it's estimated between $10 to $70 million. Then after all these major expenses, whatever is left over gets invested into land, real estate, private equity, and stocks. So back to Ensign Peak Advisors, which is the church's investment firm or hedge fund. It was founded in 1997, but the church already had about $1 billion already invested for a rainy day, or in this case, a rainy decade. And since its inception, it's averaged about a 7 to 9% annual return, so nothing out of the ordinary. When we jump into the portfolio, we can see that it's a very conservative and diversified fund with over 1,700 different holdings. So starting at the top, we have Apple at 5.7% of the portfolio with an average cost of $68.35, meaning their total return for this position is just under 200%, which is a pretty impressive return considering the position size being nearly $3 billion. Going down the list, we can see that it holds a lot of the large cap companies that most investors are familiar with, like Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, Amazon, and Meta. So the top 10 holdings are basically the exact same as any classic S&P 500 fund like VOO or SPY. So it essentially tracks the returns of the S&P 500, and you of course can't really go wrong with that. And you might notice here too that they sold a percentage of each position, but this was as of September 30th, so right at the end of Q3 when the market was selling off. So I can almost guarantee that they bought back some of these shares at a lower price at the beginning of Q4, but we won't find that out until early Q1. But here's where it gets really interesting about this specific portfolio. So Coca-Cola stock, which arguably has been one of the greatest companies to invest in, it's a Warren Buffett stock, it pays a nice 3% dividend, and has been consistently growing for 3 decades now, is not in this portfolio. Same with Pepsi stock. It's not anywhere to be found in the 13F filings. So 2 of the largest consumer beverage companies in the world that are pretty well known for being great investments are not in the LDS Church's stock portfolio. I looked through the entire list of holdings and couldn't find either of these 2 companies, which I thought was pretty bizarre. So the reason why, and this is just my own theory, is that the church teaches and the members follow kind of a strict health code called the Word of Wisdom, where you're encouraged not to drink alcohol, tea, or coffee. And since both Pepsi and Coke have a few alcoholic products and partner with beer companies, is the reason why the church chooses not to invest in them. And I'm sure there are a ton of different companies out there that the church could invest in, but chooses not to because they don't align with the values and beliefs that the church follows. So I know that a church being this large and having tens of billions of dollars in stocks can be kind of controversial. So let me know what your thoughts are on the LDS Church's stock portfolio, and I'll see you guys next time.